Welcome to A Minute with Maxwell, Mission in Motion, the podcast where we explore leadership, innovation, and the human side of organizational success. I'm your host, Heather Maxwell, and today we're diving into a topic that affects every workplace, every leader, and every one of us: mental health.
At some point, I went to live in France. That was my first kind of touch point with employee assistance programs. So I worked for a company in Belgium who wanted to import the idea of employee assistance programs to France. And lo and behold, when I came back to Montreal, I had the opportunity to work for some of the largest mental health private companies in Canada.
Our guest today is someone who has dedicated her career to understanding and supporting the human mind. Dr. Rachel Toledano is a highly respected clinical psychologist whose work focuses on helping individuals and organizations navigate mental health challenges with empathy, evidence, and action. With years of experience supporting employees and leaders alike, Rachel brings a deep understanding of the evolving mental health landscape, especially as workplaces continue to adapt in a post-pandemic world.
And so now all of a sudden, what was considered something that was stigmatized, talking about mental health, we were able to shift that to this is the norm now, because everybody's kind of struggling, right? That's, I think, where the major shift happened. I mean, it's revolutionary. What happened since COVID is a revolution.
In today's conversation, we'll explore the most common mental health challenges facing employees right now, how attitudes and awareness have shifted, and what employers can do to create psychologically safe workplaces. From no-cost supports to meaningful investments, from leadership behavior to organizational culture, we'll unpack it all. So whether you're a CEO trying to build a healthier team, a manager learning to spot the signs of struggle, or an employee wondering how to start the conversation, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. I'm Heather Maxwell, and I would love for you to join A Minute with Maxwell, Mission in Motion. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you, Heather.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And to start, Rachel, could you share a little bit about your background and what led you to pursue a career in clinical psychology? And what would you say that you enjoy the most about the work that you do?
Sure. Thanks for asking. So I'm a clinical psychologist. I've been a psychologist for 23 years. I, for many years, practiced in clinic settings in hospitals. I eventually, had my private practice, and at some point I went to live in France for 6 years in Paris. And that was my first kind of touch point with employee assistance programs. So I worked for a company in Belgium who wanted to import the idea of employee assistance programs to France. And it was really my first time diving into that world. And lo and behold, when I came back to Montreal, I had the opportunity to work for some of the largest mental health private companies in Canada, including Homewood Health, Inkblot Therapy by Green Shield Health, and EHN, which is Edgewood Health Network Canada, which is one of the largest networks of private treatment centers in Canada. So I have been in this world for about 15 years now. I've held various positions. And what fascinates me about my work, the human brain is what fascinates me, how human beings function.
Mhm.
The patterns and yet the individual differences amongst different individuals is fascinating. Globally, the neurobiology, neurology, all that is really a passion of mine. And being able to help individuals who are struggling to reach their, not only well-being, but their full potential, to empower them to feel that they have the tools to live their best life and to
Yeah.
believe in themselves, because very often when they get to to the point where they need help, their self-esteem, their self-confidence is really low. There's a lot of self-doubt. They're in
Mhm.
despair. They're hopeless sometimes. And so being able to see the recovery trajectory, and depending on the context, from beginning to end, or even just being a piece of that journey with them, and having that privilege to have someone trust you to guide them and to help them through one of the hardest times they're going through in their life, probably.
Mhm.
It's really an honor that people trust us with their sometimes with their lives.
I love that. I mean, how profound is that? Rachel, I love the data and the statistics behind things, right? Because we know that that tells us a lot, right? So, to set the stage, could you share some statistics about mental health in Canada's workforce currently?
So in the workplace, what we're seeing is mainly a lot of adjustment disorders, which is the clinical term for burnouts.
Mm.
Some mood disorders, depression, anxiety disorders, and substance use disorders. Those are the
Ah,
biggest ones we'll come across statistically. With about, mood disorders is about like 14% of employees will be suffering from mood
wow.
disorders. And the very surprising one, but important one, is about 21% will have substance use concerns.
Wow.
So it doesn't mean they have a dependence to a
Yeah.
substance, but
Mhm.
the substance use is problematic or is causing issues in their lives. So I think that's a very serious concern,
Yes.
because we often think of the burnouts, the depression, the anxiety, but we don't always think about the substance use issues.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a statistic that kind of stands out, and that employers should be aware of.
Wow. That is significant. Those numbers are
Yeah,
significant.
yeah.
So, so you mentioned some of these, the most common mental health challenges that you're seeing employees face in, not, as you said, not even just in the workplace, but you gave some statistics really just generally across Canada. And then how
Mhm.
has the conversation around mental health at work evolved over the last few years?
So I think we can trace back the major shift happening with COVID. Obviously, I think COVID just really, there was a mindset shift around mental health where it was almost like everybody was struggling with their mental health all of a sudden, right? We all
Mhm.
had to adjust. It was very scary times. We were in huge uncertainty. It was panic
Yes.
globally.
Yes.
And so now all of a sudden, what was considered something that was stigmatized, talking about mental health, we were able to shift that to this is the norm now, because
Yeah.
everybody's kind of struggling, right?
Mhm.
That's, I think, where the major shift happened.
Yes.
And I think that because of the context around COVID, I can't even count the amount of talks I gave about mental health
Wow.
during the first year of COVID,
Wow.
where employers were scrambling to provide some help to their employees who were living with
Yes.
job insecurities. All of a sudden they're working remotely. All of a sudden, they have health fears around health.
Yeah.
They have kids at home, homeschooling, online.
Mhm.
Everything was new. And so I
Yes.
think employers really did a great job of trying to, through webinars, through information, psychoeducation, help their employees kind of manage and adapt.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
was the big shift. The shift was, I would say, seismic, because employee assistance programs that used to be in-person therapy,
Yeah.
maximum, let's say 3 to 5, if you're lucky, 8 sessions per problem
Yeah.
that you have. And then if you finish your 5 sessions and you want to continue talking about your anxiety, you can't. You have to have another kind of problem if you want to access 5 more sessions.
Hmm.
That kind of became like, now I look at it like as archaic. Even though it wasn't that
Yes.
many years ago, it's
Yeah.
archaic. Now
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're not going to limit how many sessions you can do. We're gonna give you access to 5 or 8, but then you
Hmm.
can continue with your same therapist with your insurance benefits. And then if you have no more insurance benefits, you can continue on with your same therapist, as long as you want, out of pocket.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is a phenomenal shift, because
Wow.
therapy and mental health treatment is not something that you can. There's short-term solution focused therapy, which is what EAPs were supposed to be providing, or were
Yeah.
providing, where it's like, okay, we're going to give you a few tools just to get you back on track.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go into the causes. We're not going to dive deeper. We're not going to give you this longer term help. And
Support.
that's
Hmm.
changed. Yes, the
Wow.
EAP model, the employee assistance program models have
Yeah.
completely shifted. And the fact that people can
Wow.
access remotely now. So now you have people who are in remote communities who have access to help.
Yeah.
If they have access to
Amazing.
internet, if they have access to a phone, they can now have the help they need. So everything has changed. And with technology,
Wow.
if you bring in the
Yes.
AI revolution, where
Yes.
you now have platforms that are AI driven platforms that will give you a little questionnaire and ask you questions around culture, like, do you have a preference for your therapist in terms of not just language and not just French and English now? Maybe you speak another language, Spanish, for example.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
do you have a preference? Do you have a preference for culture?
Yes.
Do you have a preference with regards to, oh, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. I want someone who understands that
Staying with that.
community.
Yeah.
Or I'm a public safety personnel, like a police officer, and I want a therapist that understands the culture there, which is a
Yes.
specialty. It's a
Yes.
specialization. And so these platforms, these AI driven tech tools have
Yeah.
allowed us to match people with the right therapist, give them a
That's
choice,
huge. That's
right?
huge. Yes.
So, I mean, it's revolutionary. What happened since
Wow.
COVID is a revolution.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's great to hear that technology can make that kind of a difference, right? Wow, that's huge. And so, Rachel, from an employer's perspective, what signs or red flags should leaders and managers look for that might indicate that an employee is struggling?
Okay, well, first of all, it depends how long you've known the employee.
Yeah.
Because some of these things that you can identify come from knowing someone, knowing
Mhm.
their personality style, and being
Yeah.
able to say, hey, they're behaving a little differently than they're usually behaving.
Yeah.
It's not like them to speak this way. It's not like them to act this way. So the first thing is changes in personality.
Yeah.
changes in behaviors that are
Okay.
uncommon. Then you have things like, heightened irritability, or the person starts crying all of a sudden, randomly becoming
Mm.
tearful, much more sensitive,
Mhm.
more conflictual, their performance is off. It's lower than
Yeah.
usual. They're making more mistakes. Things like, absenteeism, more sick days, or
Yeah.
presenteeism. Like they're here, but you don't feel that they're participating. Their motivation is gone. They look more tired.
Yeah.
Those are all signs that something's
Mm.
off.
Yes.
And the question really is, what do you do when you identify that?
Yes. And that leads me to my next question, Rachel, which is how much responsibility should organizations take on when it comes to supporting employee mental health?
I think it's no longer a matter of opinion. I think it
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
become a business imperative.
Mhm.
It's an almost become an expectation for organizations to be involved in ensuring that their employees feel psychologically safe, that they have the help they need when they need it. Uh, I think it's become an expectation, like as a business standard, but from
Yes.
employees themselves. Employees
Mhm.
now, before they take on a job, they want to know what the benefits are like.
Yeah.
And will they have access to benefits, not just
Mhm.
dental and medical, but mental
Yeah.
health as well. So now
Yes.
it's almost like, but the good news is I really feel like employers now understand the return on investment, the ROI in
Yes.
investing in their employees' mental health and global health. They
Mhm.
understand that if they invest in that, let's say they invest $1, they're getting back $3 on
Yeah.
investment, because their employees, if they're taken care of, if their mental health is taken care of, if they feel psychologically safe, if the culture of the workplace is positive and healthy,
Yeah.
they have very productive employees. And
Yes.
so
It's so
now
true.
that it's become like before it was kind of like, whatever, we'll give them just a few things and they'll be fine. We'll give them a webinar once
Yeah.
a year and 3 EAP sessions, and we've done our job. But now the employers, I think the organizations see the benefits to them as a business. And
Yes.
so there's really benefits all around for everyone.
And so, can I ask you, Rachel, for our listeners, can you define or sort of explain what a psychologically safe environment is with an employer? What does that mean exactly?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that one. I think we have to first name what the common psychological stressors at work are,
Hmm.
to then talk about what a healthy workplace looks like.
Yeah.
So, there are many things that can make a workplace a, let's say, a danger to someone's mental health or global health,
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
that matter. One is workload. So, do we have enough employees to cover the workload? Because I
Yes.
see regularly people doing the jobs of 2 and 3 people,
Yes.
and they
Hmm.
are overworking themselves, right? Not
Hmm.
just while they're during their work hours, but also after work. So they're
Yeah.
working until 8, 9, 10 p.m. sometimes. They're working on weekends. There's no off time.
Yeah.
That's something to look out for and to be careful for.
Yeah.
If the organization sees more and more burnouts, people going off on sick leave for mental health reasons, that should be an organizational red flag, right? Like, what
Hmm.
is going on? Why are people going off on sick leave?
Hmm.
Very often, it's a lack of work-life balance. And
Hmm.
the employer or organization is not always to blame for that, by the way.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
the employer is, has really healthy boundaries. Look, you do your hours from 9 to 5 and see you tomorrow.
Hmm.
But the employees, and I think a lot of it is societal conditioning, related to performance
Mm-hmm.
place unnecessary expectations and pressures on themselves. They
Yes.
want
Yes.
to, they want to prove that they're worthy. They want to prove that they are a good investment, a good employee. They want to
Yeah.
prove their loyalty. They want to prove that they're worthy of the raise or of the promotion that they are looking for. And so they
Yeah.
overextend themselves. And we can't always blame the employer for that.
Yeah.
Very often, when we're treating people who are off on sick leave for burnout, we do a lot of work on their internal dialogue, where their
Yes.
expectations of themselves and their self-criticism, that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Yeah.
think each one has to kind of, have own the responsibility of the share that is fair to put on each party involved,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So let's talk a little bit more about the solutions then, Rachel, because I find that's very important. What we want to talk about both. What are some no cost or low cost supports that organizations can offer that truly make a difference? And how are important leadership behaviors, things like empathy and what you just mentioned, empathy, active listening, openness, when it comes to supporting mental health in the workplace?
Okay, so I think that some of the things we mentioned, like flex work,
Yeah.
like people have lives. They want to go to the doctor. They want to take their kid to the doctor. Like if we allow people to flex their time a little bit, and
Hmm.
we we eliminate any micromanagement around time.
Yeah.
You don't have to be here from 9 to 5. What I want from you is for your work to be done and to be done well. Okay,
Hmm.
and I can count on you to manage your time. You're an adult. Let's
Yeah.
not treat our employees like kids.
Hmm.
Let's show them that we trust them. Let's show them that we trust their competency levels. We
Hmm.
chose them. We interviewed
Yeah.
them. We hired them. We trained them. Now let
Yeah.
them do their work. And we have touch points to make sure we're on track and to make sure that, everybody's doing what they need to do, and that, deadlines are respected. But I trust you. Like, if you want to work a little bit more tonight so that you can take tomorrow morning off to go for a run or
Hmm.
to go to your Pilates class until 10 a.m., go ahead.
Hmm.
You know, like, what's the
Hmm.
big deal? So no micromanagement. I think micromanagement really kills motivation.
Hmm.
We can't treat people like we don't trust them, because if we show them we trust them, then we are right away, we're making them feel like we value that
Hmm.
they're going to do what they need to do, and we trust that they're capable of self
Yeah.
managing. So
Yes.
it's a sense, we're giving them a sense of agency. And
Hmm.
when we have a sense of agency, we're more motivated.
Hmm. Hmm. But when we talk about paid supports, what does that look like?
Well, paid supports, I think, are the it depends. It depends again on the position, the person's position, what they're doing. Because a paid support can be, I need a different chair because I'm sitting all day, or I have ADHD,
Yeah.
and it would be very helpful
Yes.
for you to give me a desk that goes up and down, right? Paid supports can be,
Hmm.
I need a second
Yes.
screen, or what we already talked about, employee assistance programs, better benefits to access mental health
Yes.
supports. A lot of people, like I could
Yes.
tell you, for example, in private practice right now, we're in the month of October, and people are coming less often to their
Yes.
therapy sessions because they ran out of their benefits. They're
Mm.
waiting for January to start getting
Yes.
help again. So
To
just being
access
aware
more.
of like
Yeah.
these little
Yeah.
things. Yes, and some companies have made it a position to have a like a chief mental health officer in their company, where
Yes.
their job
Yes.
is to organize events, webinars, make sure that a person knows who to go to if they're struggling. Because
Yeah.
we can train managers and leaders to know how to manage someone who is, who is struggling in the workplace.
Yes.
Train them to have, non-judgmental, compassionate conversations, be good listeners,
Yeah.
point them to the right resources. But let's be honest, managers and leaders are often themselves
Mm-hmm.
overworked,
Yeah.
themselves struggling, and so to put that additional, so we want to train them just in case. We want to make sure they know how to manage those situations and manage their team members. But we also want to make sure we have clear designated peers, for example, in the
Yes.
workplace, that get extra special training to know about the EAP that we have paid for, or about the benefits that are available, to discuss that, or to know if somebody is in crisis, what do you do with
Yeah.
that person? Uh, Another thing that's really free is gratitude and recognition.
It's so true. It's so true. Do you know what? And actually, that is such a good point because during COVID, we actually did a survey. We asked the nurses what got you through. Like, what were some little things that you can think of that actually got you through those periods because they were so tough. And do you know what a lot of nurses said? There were homes that when the nurses came in, they were given a brown paper bag, like a lunch bag, almost like those old brown paper bags, with their PPE in it, right? Their protective equipment in it. And what the employers were doing were putting stickers on it and putting thank you so much. Like, thank you for everything you're doing. We so appreciate you. And just putting like little stickers on it, thanking them and putting their PPE in these bags, their personal protective equipment in these bags, and handing them to them when they came in for their shift. And I can't tell you, we had that comment pop up. It wasn't money, it wasn't time off, it wasn't any of those things that they valued. They valued their employer saying, thank you. Here's just a little bag with your PPE, and it had these nice little sayings on it and thanking them for coming into work every day and appreciating them. And that was the number one piece of feedback that we received, that the nurses were saying got them actually through, nurses and personal support workers, that got them through some of these really, really heavy, difficult times during COVID. So, to your point, just a little bit of appreciation, gratefulness, recognizing the person, and it didn't cost really anything other than a paper bag and somebody writing on it, right? So, and that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we received, which I thought was astonishing, actually.
I think what's important to say now that you've said
Yeah,
that, we don't need to be in an extreme crisis situation
right.
to
To do that.
to show exactly to show
Yes.
appreciation. Every day people come in and they're giving you 80% of their lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they don't feel appreciated on a
Yes.
regular basis for what they give, just like a person at home who you come home to and they've made dinner, we can either take it
Yes.
for granted and make them feel like it's normal. I'm
Mm-hmm.
paying you, so it's normal that you come to work and do your work. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
that's true. But at the same time, a thank you goes a long way to
A
make me happy to
long
do it
way.
again for you, right? And so
Absolutely.
we cannot
Absolutely.
wait for special moments to give that recognition. For sure, we like to have those special
Yep.
moments, awards, rewards, but it's a daily
Yep.
thing, you know?
Yep. It really is.
So
And
I
Rachel,
think, I think,
I want to, sorry, I do want to jump into to some paid support. So you're absolutely right. If the employers can give some flexibility, and we want to acknowledge that not all jobs can have flexibility. I just want to acknowledge that there are many jobs in healthcare in specific that you have to work 7 to 3. You have to work 8 to 4. There can't be flexibility given the job. So we do appreciate that not everyone can have flexibility around their hours, but if they can, great. And obviously, the gratefulness and just being grateful and thanking and recognizing your employees is so. All of those pieces are so important. This podcast is brought to you by Maxwell Management Group. For nearly 2 decades, we've worked side by side with individuals, teams, and organizations to uncover what makes them exceptional and to help them grow from the inside out. It's not just about reaching goals, it's about creating success that feels deeply authentic and genuinely meaningful. Organizations, like people, have stories. And when those stories are rooted in purpose, they become powerful forces for attraction, culture, and identity. We are committed to partnering with brands that want to lead with intention, cultivate vibrant workplace cultures, and become the kind of employer that top talent seeks out, not because of perks, but because of purpose. Over the past 18 years, I've had the privilege of leading Maxwell Management Group's growth into a highly specialized national executive search and education firm, one that thrives on values, vision, and the belief that when people lead with purpose, extraordinary things happen. To find out more about our executive search, recruitment, and education services, please visit us at maxwellmanagementgroup.com. So that brings me to my next question, Rachel. Culture, as we know, at work is everything. So what role does workplace culture play in preventing stress and burnout before they become crisis?
It plays a huge role. I mean, it's the crux, because workplace culture is about the humans
Yes.
that are your human capital. It's about the human beings that are making your organization roll. So if people are, at a lot of companies are doing surveys. We're seeing a lot of great place to work, badges. But the reality is what your employees are reporting. If there's workplace satisfaction, if the culture is positive, then people are satisfied at work and they are motivated and they are engaged and they are giving you of themselves.
Yes.
So if you have a good workplace culture, I talk a lot about energy management. Toxicity is an energy eater.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I can be at work for 40 hours a week and have little energy and little productivity.
Yeah.
Or I can be at work 40 hours a week and have so much energy, positivity, energy, that I do the work of 60 hours in 40 if I feel good. Right? So if it's toxic, you're going to have an energy eater and you're going to have low productivity and vice versa. Right?
Yep. Absolutely. And so, Rachel, looking to the future, what trends do you see shaping the next chapter of workplace mental health support?
Listen, I think we are in the future. We talked about, like the AI platforms. We talked about telemedicine, telemental health. I think more and more employers are looking for things that will reduce the burden of the amount of work that needs to be done. So they're putting in tools and strategies. But I think we need to listen also to individuals. For some individuals, that's a great asset to have. For some individuals, adapting to those new tools, those new things is a stressor.
Yes.
Or being on a screen more, learning about a new program, adapting to new tools is freaking them out.
Yes.
So trying to hear also the concerns of the individuals and how can we adapt. So more individualized adaptation It's
Yeah.
like, okay, you don't like this new tool. Maybe you want to continue doing it on paper. For this, it's okay. For that, we really need you to use the tool. Like, but
Yes.
let's hear them out. Let's hear the individual needs out and see where we can work with people to help them feel that they're getting what they need, that they're heard.
Yeah.
So those are things that we're seeing more and more is that global health, that holistic wellness approach that
Yes.
that is very important. That is a thing. I don't even want to say of the future. We're there. We're there. Like I
Yes.
said, COVID created a real shift, and
Yeah.
more and more organizations are, getting with the program, so to speak. Um,
Yes.
uh, but we have a lot of work to do. I think the main thing is the burnouts. That's one of the
Mhm.
biggest things that I see in the like as a workplace, like disability.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think that it's really important to understand that if you have an employee who goes out on burnout, if you don't help them come back to work by addressing what burnt them out, they're
Yeah.
going to relapse. And
Yes.
so the return to work accommodations, it's not just the accommodation on the paper of the psychologist or the doctor that says, okay, 2 days a week,
Mhm.
3 days a week, gradual return to work plan. Okay, you're done,
Mhm.
back to work.
Mhm.
If you do
Mhm.
it that way, it's likely, if you don't have human conversations, it's likely that you will have people who relapse.
Yes. Yes.
And having discussions, taking the time to
Mhm.
have discussions around these accommodations. What do they actually mean? What are they supposed to look like? And then discussing with the employee
Yes.
and making
Yes.
sure they're respected.
If you could, Rachel, recommend just one thing that
Mm.
every employer should start doing tomorrow, what would that be?
Oof. Just one thing. After
One,
everything I
just
said,
one.
uh,
What's your top tip?
I would say that if you're going to do a whole bunch of surveys and gather a whole bunch of data, which is very in right now,
Mhm.
do something with it. Like,
Mhm. Act
actually
on it.
have someone sit down, analyze, and say, okay, for this survey, we have this data that points to the need for this action.
Yes.
How are we going to accomplish? Like, make it concrete. It's
Yes.
good to become
Implement.
aware, but if it's
Yes.
not, if it doesn't lead to an action, because
Yeah.
I can give you like a 1 point, but it's going to be different for every organization.
Everyone.
No,
Yeah.
if you know there's a weakness, go into action. So action
Yep.
driven data. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that
Yep.
would be my biggest advice, and I think HR departments are very valuable in helping with those kinds of things. So I would turn to them
Yep.
for assistance.
I agree. I think it's all about listening to your employees, listening to your staff, and having those one-on-ones with them, right? And really understanding what is important to them. And if they see areas for improvement, right? And what those might look like, and just having those real authentic discussions and listening, and then do, as you, to your point, doing something about the pieces that you can, right? The pieces that you can implement, right?
Yeah, and sharing the information with the employees. Like, this
Yes.
is what we've done an employee satisfaction survey. This
Yeah.
is what came out. Very often we get the stats of like 78% are satisfied or whatever it might be.
Right.
But tell me
Right.
give me all the information. Okay, 78% are satisfied.
Yes.
We also noticed that 30% were unsatisfied about X. Here's the action we've decided to take to resolve X. So people really feel, oh, this is worth filling out. It's leading to something productive and positive, and they
Yes.
care. They
Yes.
actually care. It's not just to
Yes.
gather stats, you know? So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So, yeah, bang on. That is so important. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Rachel. I so
My
appreciate
pleasure.
your time today. This was just
Thank
amazing. And you have, obviously just a wealth of experience in this critical area. So thank you again for your time today. We so appreciate it.
yes. Thank you, Heather, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Rachel. Thank you again. What an insightful and powerful conversation with Dr. Rachel Toledano. Rachel reminded us that mental health isn't a bonus benefit, it's a core part of how people show up, perform, and thrive at work. The landscape has changed dramatically in recent years, and while the challenges are real, so are the opportunities to support our teams more meaningfully. The takeaway is clear. Supporting mental health doesn't always require a big budget. Often, it's the simple human actions that matter most. Creating a culture where people feel seen, heard, and supported is something every organization can do. And when we combine that with intentional investments in resources, training, leadership development, we don't just reduce burnout, we build workplaces where people truly flourish. Rachel, thank you for sharing your expertise and wisdom with us today. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on A Minute with Maxwell. If today's episode sparked new ideas or inspired you to rethink your workplace approach to mental health, we'd love for you to subscribe, share this episode, and continue the conversation in your teams and networks. Until next time, I'm Heather Maxwell, reminding you that we put people first, purpose follows. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time. So thank you for joining us today. And if you would like to learn more about how Maxwell Management Group is supporting the continuing care sector, please feel free to visit our website at maxwellmanagementgroup.com. And also, please like and subscribe to our podcast wherever you download podcasts. Thank you for joining, and see you next time.